Hello everybody and welcome to our mini-series called Homemade Parade with Recreate Ireland and Dublin City Council. My name is Jo and you are all very welcome to the Creative Shed, where I will be sharing with you tips, tricks and inspo for you to create your very own festive homemade parade. In these videos, we encourage you to gently corral the people around you at home to get them to muck in and make things from reuse materials. These items can be rescued from your bin, or they might be other items that you might find lying around that give you loads and loads of inspiration. We will be encouraging you to give your brains a workout at the gym of creativity, and we will bring the play element to the parade. Each of the 3 videos will have a different theme around creating your very own festive celebrations for St. Patrick's Day. These themes are creating props, costumes, and window displays. You may have a specific interest in one of the 3 themed videos available, but we invite you to watch all 3 so you can get the most out and tons of ideas to create your very own unique parade. At Recreate, we pride ourselves in letting you navigate your own creativity, but we are here to guide you and ask you to consider what you can make from the things around you. This video is called Let's Get Proppin', and it will be in 3 little sections about creating pops large and small. In the first section, we're going to be looking at how you can make a simple puppet style prop. Okay, let's get cracking. Okay, so now we're all sitting comfortably. I have had a little look around things that I have around at home, and I'm just going to share those with you quickly now. So I am inspired by toilet rolls, and I'll go through why in a second. I've also got some sticks, different varieties of sticks, ones that you'll find outdoors in nature, and a few, and a couple that I have lying around. This looks like actually a bit of willow, this one, and this is a piece of down. Adhesive on one side, and then I've also grabbed some tin foil. Okay, anyway, that's enough of that. Oh, and I've got paper and I've got card as well. So easy peasy things to find. And obviously these are just ideas to get you started. So what we're going to do for this one is, this is Big Snake. I'm calling this Big Snake, Little Snake. And it's hard for me not to go Big Snake, Little Snake, cardboard box. Big Snake, Little Snake, cardboard box. Okay, so I have recently, I had these 2 toilet rolls and I just sat there and I was pushing them in together and I was like, very interesting. These feel to me like they could be quite snake-like, and particularly if you were going to make them, it's called articulated, so they move a bit like our arms or our wrists or our knees, and I thought that this would be a good starting point to make something small to then go large. Sometimes for me it's really helpful to make things small first, so I'm almost problem solving and figuring out ways that to make it work before I commit to making something really big. Now, I was thinking, in order to make it move, you need to be able to join them together, but not like by wrapping tape around them. Although that could potentially work if you were to leave a gap like that, so the tape might be like loose. You also might want to cut if you have any tubes around, so they might be from the middle of, say, kitchen roll or wrapping paper or other tubes that you might have. But you might want to cut them down a little bit so you get more movement in them. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you a really quick way of joining them together. So this is a special tool. You don't need to have this. You may have at home, this is called an awl. You may have at home something sharp that you'll be able to make holes with, basically. Even a sharp pencil, and if you put an eraser underneath, or a cork or something, and then poke your hole through. Now, I love this tool. I've had it for years, and I always lose it. So I'm delighted that I have it with me now to make my life a little bit easier. So I've just made a hole going straight through there like that. And I'm going to do exactly the same thing with this one now. Now, obviously, be careful if you're just going through that you don't damage any of your furniture. This table, I don't mind if it gets a hole in it or whatever. Because it's made from recycled and repurposed items. It's made from an old kitchen cabinet, would you believe? Anyway, I digress. So I'm going to slot that through. Hopefully I'll be able to find the other side of the hole. Now this is all I'm doing here is I am literally just testing it out. So what I want to, you can even see just from doing that, there's a little bit of movement in there already. Okay, so in order to keep it together, so there's a thing called a split pin, right, which is basically like a drawing pin but with two legs on it, and you can fold those out and that gives you movement and stuff. Now, if you're anything like me who doesn't have an abundance of split pins kicking around the place, I thought that maybe what you could do is maybe you have some smaller little screws lying around. I seem to have lots of, when I was looking for a small screw, I couldn't seem to find one for this, typical. But you could have a small screw, you could pop that inside, okay? If that's going to go through my hole, which it probably won't. I do have a small pin as well. So you could pop that inside, and then if you've got little fingers, put something on the other side of that screw so it doesn't come out. So I'm thinking you could use blue tack, you could put a big blob of glue on there. Maybe if you have a glue gun, that would be really handy to stop it from coming back out, and you'll be able to make it move. So you can see it's only a little gentle bit of movement there, but it does work. So then what I was thinking is, for my snake that I think, yeah, that I'm hoping that this might turn into, is by putting holes in. So maybe you've got smaller bits and you've got 5 or 6 of them. You pop your hole in the bottom like that, and you put a little stick in, whether that's your stick from the great outdoors or whether that's a stick from a random thing that you found at home. Stick your snake in, and then you could make it move so it has a bit of movement in it. So that was one idea. So then, this is obviously small, so how do we make it big? So I've grabbed a piece of cardboard, and I thought that you could do exactly the same with your cardboard. Roll it up, roll it up, roll up, roll up, roll up, roll it up like that, okay? And then do the same thing. You could cut into it as well. Just thinking about cutting into it there. Do you know what? My scissors are just over here, so just bear with me 1 second. Oh. Okay, so if you want to give it more space, you might want to cut a little section at an angle out of your toilet roll. Let me see if I can just do that. Squishy squash. And then, see, this is all about trial and error. See, even now I can feel like that isn't even in properly, and that has already got way more movement in it. So I just cut the end off like that at an angle. So you might want to do the same with this. So say you wanted to go really big, you might tape that down there like that. And look, we've already gone big already. And then if you want to go really, really big again and you have loads of cardboard, you might go really big again, doing the same thing, just twisting it over. Cut your cardboard at an angle on one end. Do that again, another 500 times, and you've got your snake there. That would be a really good way of doing it. And then I was thinking about how you're going to decorate it. So fingers crossed we're going to get some glorious weather when we're creating our own homemade parade. But if you're not, you might want to consider just making this a little bit more waterproof. So I was thinking about things that you could add on that won't get too soggy. So I was thinking tin foil would look really cool and really eye-catching to make scales from. So you might want to, sorry about the noise in the microphone, you might want to, lovely circle, cut out loads of lovely circles like that. Get your glue stick and start sticking them on. So maybe you do 1 row of silver, 1 row of green, 1 row of silver, 1 row, or however you want to design and make it. Or maybe you just go random and free flow it and just stick loads of stuff all over it, which will look amazing as well. And then I was thinking you could, to keep it waterproof, you could cover it in cling film maybe, and adhere it, like so, tape it up down the bottom so nobody can see it, stick your sticks in, blah, blah, blah. And then for creating our eyeballs, getting these out again, I thought these would make great snake eyeballs. What do you think? So you could stick those on like that, or like that. You will need strong glue for it, and maybe create a little like eyelid for the snake eyes. Or another way of making snake eyes, which would be a little bit easier, is ball up a bit of newspaper, wrap masking tape around it, or any old tape around it, paint them, stick your eyeballs on, and then stick them onto your cardboard snake. And the same with the mouth. You could cut out 2 half circle shapes like this, and then a tongue coming out, and maybe even if you were really, really advanced, you could stick our little homemade split pin screw idea through the jaw, and the mouth could open and close, open and close. So there's loads of ideas there for you as starting points from how you can take a simple toilet roll and go up bigger. So you have a small little snakes, and maybe everybody that you know has little snake, but you all collaborate and work together on a big one. Hello, and welcome back after our little brief interlude there to the next part of our Let's Get Proppin'. So I feel that no parade is complete without an elf flag or a streamer or something that you can wave around to wild abandon. So I've been thinking of a few things that you could do in order to make a very simple banners and streamers and flags. Grabbing your stick that you might have found around, or one of the other alternatives that you might have. Also, you could make your own stick out of, you could bunch up your card again and tape it around and use that, because that card is nice and strong. So what you could do is with your sticks, and maybe you have 3 sticks that you found and you want to do something with every single one, to which I say, yes, definitely do that. You could, remember the t-shirt that I had in the last video? Well, I have it again. It's making another guest appearance. So you could shred up a piece of old clothing. Now, obviously, ask permission. You could shred up a piece of clothing and tie the bits together. And maybe you've got lots of different things that you might find lying around the house. For example, you might have bits of ribbon, or you might have bits of, I don't know, foil or wallpaper, other types of materials that you could put together, but you can cut them up into strips, tie them at the top and then tape them on, so you have this lovely like streamer style thing. So that's a really simple way to take part. The next idea that you could do is, if you have a piece of fabric, maybe the t-shirt's coming out again. If you have a piece of fabric, or maybe the pillowcase, you decide to use one side for decorating your house banner, and maybe you've got a little bit of that pillowcase left over. You could add things to it, stick things down, and create your very own little flag. So this flag was designed to represent, maybe you want to think about how you can represent your family. So this cat is listening to music with headphones on, and is on a bright yellow background, fun like bubble bit of old material that was used. All I did was use a bit of strong tape to stick that onto the back. And so that almost creates such a wonderful thing to be able to go out into your garden or onto your balcony or whatever outdoor space you might have and wave your flag, and it really makes a really super great impact. So you could potentially use that. So also then with your banners, if you have, here we go again with the big bit of fabric. So we've gone things that are quite small just for one person to hold, but if you want to create something that's really big, that maybe you're holding on with 2 hands, you may want to create some kind of a bigger frame to be able to hold something out. So you will probably need, say, a bar across the top with another one going down like this. And I recommend wrapping, if you're going to attach it, just anything that you can get your hands on. Glue, sticking glue together, wrapping around ribbon, wrapping around wire, wrapping around tin foil, wrapping around cling film, just to hold it really, really nice and strong like that. And then you'll be able to hang your banner and walk along holding the bottom of it. When you're designing your banner, that was how to put it together. When you're designing your banner, like I said, some ideas might be that you want to represent your clan or your family or your friendship groups. Or perhaps you want to make it all around what might be happening, like maybe stories that you've heard from Irish mythology, or maybe you want to do it based on St. Patrick himself, or maybe you want to create the idea of making a really big snake, but you might want to wrap that around the pole to hold. So from our big snake, little snake section, you might want to wrap something around your pole quite big like this. And the good thing about doing the snake is that you can do it in little sections and then pop it all together on the day. Because depending on how big you go, it might take up a lot of space. But yeah, you could even, like I said about using mythology or traditional type of things, you might want to create a story or a puppet from a story or something like that as well, which could be quite wonderful. So that was a real quick starting point for different ideas. It all started with the stick, and then it shall go on from there. I wish I had ribbons on the end of this one so I could wave it. But thank you. I'm going to do the same again, little brief interlude, so you can press pause, run off, grab some materials, get started, come back to us whenever you wish, and I'll be talking to you in a second. Okay. Okay, so thank you for sticking with me and joining me for the last part of our mini video called Let's Get Propping for Homemade Parade. So when I think of St. Patrick's Day Festival, I think of all of these beautifully huge, large, elaborate floats that go down through the cities, and I am particularly a fan of a company called Mockness, and their floats are out of this world, dreamy, based around storytelling, and that is so wonderful. I love that aspect. So I was thinking, how could you guys make something that might be smaller, or something that you might be able to push around to make your own little miniature parade? And first of all, I was starting, okay, so maybe building or making a character. So I've grabbed some newspaper. You might have some paper, like scrap paper or whatever. Newspaper is great though, because there always seems to be some lying around. I'm sorry for the crinkly, but here we go. I'm just gonna show you what I'm gonna do. So I use this to start my making off. And by scrunching paper together, you can make quite good stuff below, like to build onto. So what I mean by that, so I'm thinking that I'm going to build a person. So here is obviously my head, and then I have some, this masking tape is terrible, but it's kind of good for this cut stuff because it's there. It means I'm using it up. So I'm just going to sellotape it around, and you'll find that when you're taping things, that they kind of change shape sometimes. So you might find, oh, I'm going to do a person, then it might turn into like a dragon's head or a snake's head, or it might be a mystical creature. See what I mean about this masking tape being terrible? But yeah, if you use sellotape, paint or marker pens doesn't really stick to sellotape, so it'll make your life a little bit harder. So I would recommend investing in a little roll of masking tape. Okay, so there we go. I've got my head like that. And then I was going to stick it onto a stick and use the stick to build my person up with. So with this, again, a little bit like the Big Snake, Little Snake, I was thinking start small, build something small like this, almost like you're building your own little puppet, and then work upwards and make it larger. Okay, so you guys spend a little bit more time on this, but you can see it's starting to come together as the head. You could add wool for hair or whatever. It might even be an animal that you turn it into. But for the body, I would do the same thing, but instead of bunching, I would roll. And it would be the same kind of, the same scenario as building the head, where it is, you never know what you're gonna get, but you might, so for example, to do the arms, you might go, okay, well, oops, okay. Those arms might have been too big, was what I was about to say, until I accidentally ripped the paper there. But working with what we got, so rolling it up, maybe you twist it down the end, maybe you make that really tight, wrap your tape around, a bit bigger there, nice big bulky shoulders like you've been working out, doing lots of lifting, and then you can see that that's starting to become the arms then, right? And you're not going to see any of this, so you're going to build stuff onto it. You can either paint it or make some like little miniature clothing for it, or yeah, like I said, paint it or give it scales or whatever. And then the body, I would do similar to that, but I would make it flatter, fold it over, narrower down the bottom, so then you have your torso built then as well. And you're just going to tape it on and build it all on to your stick and then create your legs. So that's one part of making a very small puppet. That you could take that principle and go large. So you might use cardboard to build up the arms and legs a little bit like the snake. Might get loads of paper and make a bigger head out of the newspaper, but with the same kind of principle. So then I was thinking, if you've gone big, you've gone small, it might be a bit of hard work, and why not try and replicate some kind of float on wheels? So if you have anything like I do, and this makes me laugh a little bit, but I have this that was given. So it's a bike with wheels and a handle at the back. You could build on to this part, so you've almost got the shoulders there at the top of that. You could build onto this part, put the head on. Even you didn't need to build on that. You could just throw a t-shirt. My classic t-shirt's coming in again. Throw the t-shirt over the top of it and build from that. And then, because it's got the wheels already on, you could push it, and you could even have a small person in there as well that you could push. So you're getting kind of like a double whammy. You're creating your own giant-sized prop puppet, and then also your little person in there. Obviously, they have to be dressed up too. Few ideas for you there. If you didn't have like a trike like that, you can have that one. If you didn't have a trike, you might have your scooter. So you could use your scooter, the middle bit, and scoot behind. So maybe you've created, I don't know, for example, like the head of something, and maybe you're the body that's scooting along behind with like a big sheet over you or something. Anyway, there's so many ideas there. I hope it's given you some kind of inspiration and starting point. And I am going to leave you with all of those ideas and ways of building things, and we will see you in the next video for a part of our mini series of Homemade Parade. Really looking forward to seeing you there, with special thanks to Dublin City Council, with me, Jo, and Recreate Ireland. We'll be catching you in a minute, and get creative, and we look forward to seeing what you create. Yeah! All right, adios.